In this episode of Flea Market Rescue, we're going to take a galvanized can that I got from the thrift store for $2.99 and with an IOD mold turn it into a beautiful farmhouse piece of decor. Then we'll take this trunk that I got from the thrift store for $19.99. We'll paint it, we'll add some transfers to it, and we'll turn it into a cute farmhouse coffee table. And lastly, we'll take these biodegradable peat pots and turn them into beautiful farmhouse garden decor. I'll show you several different things you can do with them. So you ready? Let's go ahead and do these projects. Just a quick note before we get started. I just want to welcome anyone who's new here to Flea Market Rescue. I'm so glad you found your way here, and I hope that you'll consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll get notified every time I post a new video. Now let's get started. I bought this galvanized can for $2.99 at the thrift store. And we're just going to make this into a cool milk jug, and we're going to use this mold to put this chicken, or rooster I should say, on here. So let's go ahead and do that, and then I think we might even do some letters too. I have this mold here, and we could spell out a couple things, put it above or underneath. So let's go ahead and figure that out too. We're going to use my Magic Sculpt and some Tite Bond glue. This is a two-part epoxy resin, so we have the hardener and then we have the sculpting resin that's white. So you mix equal parts of these, and then once it's completely white, then you know it's all properly mixed, and we'll use them in our molds. So I have equal parts of each, and I'm just going to keep on twisting that and mushing it around. I always wear gloves because this white is pretty tacky until it's mixed. So just keep on moving that back and forth like that, twisting it until you don't see any more of this gray here. Okay, so I have it mixed properly. It's completely white. And what you want to do is you want to cornstarch your mold, because if you don't, then this will definitely stick in all that and you're going to have, like, you know, a mess on your hands. So let's go ahead and put a little cornstarch in the mold that we're going to use. I'm just using like a little stencil brush, and I'm going to brush that into the mold that we're going to use. Okay, as you can see, it's all powdered up. So let's take a little bit of this mixture, and you're just going to press it into all the little crevices. Crevices, did I say that right? Okay, once it looks pretty smooth on the back here, we're gonna just flip that over and put that on some plastic here. And you're just gonna roll your mold back. So here's our rooster, which is super cute. And I'm going to get the Tite Bond, and we're going to place it right on this can. So I'm going to flip that over in my hand, and I'm going to add a little of this Tite Bond. I love using Tite Bond when I'm doing applique. I'm just going to put a little bit on the back here. Now this is really pliable because it's still, you know, hasn't dried. I do sell, you know, these in my store, but you really don't want the ones that I have because they're already hardened. You need one that's going to wrap around, so you really kind of need the mold. So I'm just going to put that on there. pat that in place. I think that looks pretty darn good. So let's see if we can come up with something else that we can put on this can. Okay, so now that we have our rooster on the can, let's go ahead and make some letters. I think I just want to do like farm. I think it's simple and it'll probably look best on there. So I'm just cornstarching these up again, and then we're just going to press our letters in there. I think that looks really cool. So we're gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna paint this white. Well, it's the next morning and all this is rock hard and dry, so we're gonna take it outside and we're gonna paint it. Look how nice that came out, and it really did not take a lot of work, and it just really spruced up this can. Okay, so I bought it for the $19.99, and we're gonna open it up here. And we're gonna just kind of clean out the inside, wipe it down. looks like this tray just kind of comes out. Let's look at the bottom here. Okay, someone put some cloves in here. Probably stunk at one time. It just smells like cloves, but it definitely needs to be redone because there is some staining in it. So we'll get rid of those cloves and we'll paint it. So I got all those cloves out of there. I'm just going to take a Clorox wipe and just wipe this up a bit. So our trunk is clean, and I'm going to use this paint that I got from Behr. It's Scuff Defense. I color matched the Annie Sloan graphite paint, and as you can see, it's color matched here. We're going to use this here, and we're going to paint the whole inside of it because it really needs it. Okay, so it is completely dry. It looks really beautiful and clean inside. Now we're gonna paint the outside of it. So I'm gonna just probably take this price tag off and let's get to it. This is an awesome paint sprayer. So if you get a chance and you want a good paint sprayer, this is it. I'm gonna use this on the chest. Okay, so we painted it a nice white. It's probably gonna require 2 coats because I can see like right in here and there we need a little more paint. But we're gonna let that dry and then we'll do a second coat on it, and I think it's gonna be beautiful. We're gonna use some of these legs that I found at the thrift store. I know it says $2.99, but I actually went on green tag day, so I got them for half off. I'm gonna take the screw out of here so that we can use a screw to go down through the trunk and into this. We don't want this hanging out in the trunk. So we're gonna work on that right now. Okay, while that is drying, we could paint up these here. I took the price tags off and we're just gonna spray them too. Okay, so the bottom's dry, and now that it's white, you definitely can see, oh, this thing has been through the war, but that's okay because it's at the bottom and that's not gonna matter. So we're gonna put the foot right at the edge of this little piece of hardware here. So we need to measure exactly how much So it looks like, let's see, a little over 1 inch. So I'm going to measure in a little over 1 inch. I'll turn it around. So we're going to measure in a little more than, so about right here. We'll do the same thing here. So that's basically where we need to drill. It's right here. So we're going to drill holes through here. And then when we do, we're going to make sure that it's going to go through here. I have special screws for that. I went to Ace and got them. Yep, that lines up good.
I went ahead and marked all the lines for the rest of the holes that were going to be drilled.
Okay, so you can see the holes right here, here, and over there. We're going to put our screws through there, and then we're going to screw the legs onto it. I bought these screws at Ace Hardware for 47 cents each.
I'm just going to get these all lined up in there, and then I'm going to take a screwdriver and slightly screw them in so that they're poking through the bottom.
Okay, see how that's poking through? That's what we want just to start it off.
I'm just checking to see that these all line up and that the tip of the screw is going into the center of the leg. Now that it does, we're going to use a little Star Bond to glue these legs onto the bottom of the trunk. I'm applying the Star Bond around the screw but not putting it directly onto the screw. I'm going to finish putting the glue around the rest of the screws, and then we'll use the accelerator so that we can bond both of these pieces together. This is a Star Bond accelerator, and we're just going to spray a little of this to the bottom of the leg.
So I have the accelerator on the back. I'm just going to place that down. Hold that down, and that should be bonded into place.
Okay, so I have all 4 glued in, and I think that looks pretty good.
Okay, so I flip this over. We're going to open it up, and then we're going to screw the screws in.
I'm going to finish by screwing in the rest of these screws into the legs. That way we'll have both glue and screws to hold this together, making this a solid piece. Now onto IOD transfers.
I love these. These are so cool. I found them at Sweet and Sassy Treasures. They're transfers in a floral pattern, and I love it. I thought this would look awesome on a trunk, so this is the trunk we're going to use it on.
These IOD transfers come with 4 different patterns that you can choose from. I want to use this one. I love this one, and I think it's going to be perfect for our trunk. I'm going to carefully rip this out of the book, and then we'll decide where we need to cut and where our patterns are going to be. I'm going to cut in between here, and then the left side is going to go on the left side of the trunk, and then we'll put the bigger part on the right side of the trunk. I think that'll look really nice. So you just want to carefully cut around the design. Now I'm removing the backing from this, and we're going to place it on the left side. Now me personally, I didn't have a problem like putting it down and worrying about it sticking. I barely could get it off with a stick, so I think you're pretty much okay to move it around and place it where you want it. Now they do give you a stick, but I really had to work with this stick, so I found a better solution, which I'll show you. So as hard as I worked with this stick, look what happened. Nothing even came off. So I tried harder and I pressed harder. And that actually did work, which you'll see in a minute here.
When that gets light, you can tell that it's already down. See, if I lift this up, you can tell that this is down. So any spots that are still on the tape, you're gonna wanna rub over. Like, see, there's still a little part right there. So we're gonna need to rub right here. But we're getting there. We're just gonna keep rubbing these until they're all on our trunk. I'm gonna use a spoon. I think this is just gonna be a little more easier to get this down, because with that stick, it's taking way too much time.
They suggest you put a piece of tape to hold your design down. I personally didn't do it, but you can do that if you think it's going to move on you. I like to be able to look underneath just to make sure that the transfer is going on to the object that I'm putting it on. And if it was taped down, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, I think that looks beautiful.
So now we're going to go on the other side, and we're going to take the spoon and we're going to rub on that and get that transferred down on the right side of the trunk. Don't you love how it came out? I think it's gorgeous. I love the transfers on it, and I know at the next show, this is going to be one of the first things to go.
So I bought a stack of these seed cups. It does say 99 cents, but she gave me the whole thing for $4.99. And I just want to show you a couple things that you can do with these to make them really cool. So the first thing, let's put some of this magic sculpt on there. I'm just going to press a little of that down. going to press that on the cup. I'm going to take a little water to smooth this out just a little bit. So I have some water in my hand, and I'm just going to smooth that out a little. Now with this magic sculpt, it's not like paper clay where you can just put it on. You might have to put a little glue on the back just to hold it in place. I probably would have used some paper clay. However, I already had some of this magic sculpt already mixed up. Okay, so I have that on there, looking pretty good. Now I'm going to take one of these stamps that I got from Sweet and Sassy Treasures when I was there. Look at this writing, love this. So I'm just going to open that up, and we're going to stamp that on the front of that cup. Okay, so now let's go ahead and press this against our letters. And look how cool that is. You have a whole bunch of like French type writing on there. I also got this mold too, which I really love. Look at the angel wings in there. Can you see that? But I really love these. These are super cute. So we're gonna use those on top of our lettering. I'm gonna open that up, and we're gonna use that mold. Yeah, so we're gonna use one of these here. And remember, we have to cornstarch that up, so I'm going to do that right now. We're going to flip that over. Wow, that came out really easy. Look how pretty that is. So I think that would look really nice if we glued that like on our cup somewhere. Like maybe on top. So I think I'm going to do that. I'll put a little bit of glue behind there. We're just pasting that on there. love that. That looks so nice.
I decided we needed one more, so I'm making one more up and we're going to kind of layer that on top of the other one.
We are going to put a second one on there. Add a little more glue.
And here's what that looks like. We're going to let that dry and then we're going to paint it.
Okay, so it's the next day. This is completely dry. We're going to paint this white.
And we're going to let that dry.
Okay, I'm just going to add a little of this graphite, anti-slung graphite, into the lettering so that it'll stand out, and then we'll paint a little white on top.
I'm just making sure I get it into all the nooks and crannies, and then we'll let that dry.
Okay, these are completely dry, so I'm going to put some white paint over on top.
So this is just one example of what you can do with those seed cups. I think this looks like it should be on a windowsill in like a French countryside.
So I'm going to paint a couple of these white just to show you what you can do with them. We're not going to completely cover this. I want some of the parts of the natural pot showing through. I just think that'll make it look nice. We'll dab around the rim. And we're just going to let that dry. Okay, so for this cup, we're going to do a little something different here. In my Etsy store, I have 2 sets of French decals. This is one set here, and then this one here is the other set. I think for this cup, I think this probably would be the perfect transfer decal to put on here. Now with these, there's no rubbing. You just cut around a 1/4 inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then you peel off the backing and place it on there. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, we're going to start by taking our transfer decal and we're going to cut like, you know, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch around. Okay, so we have our image all cut out. I'm going to take our cup over here. I'm going to peel the protective coating off. And then you really want to make sure that you know exactly where you're going to put this, because this is very sticky. I think this will be good right here. So I'm going to peel this off. And then with your fingers, you're going to lightly see how cute that is? And it was so easy. No rubbing, none of that stuff. Just really simple. Cut around 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch and then place your transfer decal on there. There you go.
Now I have another painted cup that I did, and I'm going to show you what I did with this one.
So I bought these stencils from Joann's. They have numbers on them, and we're going to use that to put that onto this little pot. I think this is going to be awesome. They have letters in here and also numbers, so that's going to work out perfect. So it comes in all of these. Here's the numbers. Here's some little letters, different style letters. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to use some Annie Sloan paint here in graphite to put those letters on. I'm just going to dip my stencil brush into the paint, kind of blot it a little onto the paper so we don't have a big glob. Now I'm going to take my little cup, find what side I want to put it on, kind of like this here. Let's line up our number. We'll do this right here. I'm going to hold this really tight on there, and we're just going to stencil that on. Let's lift up, see what we have. Perfect. Okay, now we want to do our numbers. What do we want to do? How about we'll do the 2. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, that's super cute. Okay, so we're going to keep that. I think we're going to put a little dot right there too. I'm going to use it from question mark here. Put a little dot right there. Cool. So we're going to take one of these and then we're going to make this rabbit here and we're going to put it on the front. I think that'll be really cute. So let's go ahead and do that.
So I'm mixing my 2-part epoxy resin. We're going to cornstarch our mold up. Then we're going to take little pieces of that epoxy resin and just push that into the mold. Once we're done with that, we're going to smooth the back with our hand, and then we're going to carefully peel back the mold so that we can get the bunny out.
So now I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of this here. And we're going to glue this down. We're going to let that dry and then we'll paint it up.
Our bunny is completely dry, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the first pot. We're going to paint this all black and then we're going to paint it white. I'm just trying to get in all the nooks and crannies because when we paint this white, we want that black to shine through to show all the detail. We're going to let that dry.
Okay, we're going to do this one here.
And we're going to let that dry. Here they are, all 4 cups. Even though they're different, they all look beautiful in their own different way. And that's just a couple examples of what you can do with seed cups. If you like this episode of Flea Market Rescue and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. I'm Kelly Sherry, and this has been Flea Market Rescue.